Doris Goleman, candidate for county judge. I'm currently the chief of staff for Judge Savage. I've been there almost 2 years now, and that gives me a unique opportunity to have seen what goes on in the county, in the county's offices, how the county judge does business, how decisions are made. So it's provided me a unique opportunity to see things, how they're done behind closed doors, which very few people have. Prior to that, I was the executive director of the Montgomery County Food Bank. I was there 9 years. When it started, it was a very small nonprofit when I started. When I left, we were the 11th largest food bank in the state of Texas. We had money in the bank reserved for future growth that we could leverage against. We had, my annual administrative cost was 3% to 4%, and we had no debt. And with that, and it was a warehouse and distribution facility, it was a big operation. And I would like to take the philosophy from running a nonprofit to the county government business, because that's what the county government is. It's a business, and it's funded off of taxpayers' dollars, off your backs. And we need to treat it as a nonprofit. It is a nonprofit, and we should treat it as such. What I've noticed, and why I decided to run, is we needed to make changes. Our tax rates are continuously going up, or actually our tax payments are going up. And there's a lack of planning and prioritizing of the core responsibilities for the county. And that's one of the biggest changes that I would make, is that we plan. We have a strategic plan, a 2, 5, and 10-year strategic plan to improve where we allocate our money. Right now, this was another thing that floored me, is how they set the budget. And both of my opponents this year were on the budget review committee, and traditionally they will find out how much money is raised. They'll call J.R. Moore, and he'll tell them how much money he expects to collect, and that's what our budget is set at. This year it was set at a whopping $279 million. Last year it was $264 million, so it's a 6% increase. It has been as high as 11%. There is no planning, no prioritizing. Public safety and our infrastructure should be our top 2 priorities that we are funding and that we are looking at, and then everything else will fall into place. But what they do right now, we did move it up a little. We moved public safety up a notch or 2, but they've always been funded last. They should be funded first. And what else? Infrastructure, we're behind because of this lack of planning. We're behind in our infrastructure, public safety, and we're behind in reassessing how we do tax abatements. Now, tax abatements are a necessary evil. They do bring in business and they bring in jobs, but it should not just be any job that brings business in, because most of you, I don't know about y'all, but many people have small businesses and they're not getting tax abatements. All of us pay into the taxes and we're not getting a tax decrease. So we need to reassess that and make sure it's appropriate for the development that we have today. We also need an ethics review board. The DA came in and said do one. They have not done it yet. We need an ethics review committee that's comprised of citizens that will make sure to hold people accountable if there's any questions. And I have some ideas on that. We need to be prepared for the future. And I can see I wasn't looking at you. Sorry. Go ahead.
Questions?
I'm sorry, I forgot to leave you. Yes.
You said you mentioned you were just with your current involvement. How would you reassess those tax abatements? What would be some of your thoughts on it, or your ideas?
Well, right now, one that just went through court today, or Monday, it was from, they fell into the category, from the best I could tell, because you don't see all of the back item. It fell in the category from $1 million to $3 million. $1 million is not a lot of money in today's time for a business. It does bump it all up from the smaller businesses, but $1 million for a business or a piece of property today is not very much. I think it used to be higher. I don't know what it should be, but it needs to be higher. They had 10 employees that they started. I have friends that have businesses that have more than 10 employees. And I just think it needs to be at a higher level. If we lower our tax rate, then people will come here. If we had the lowest tax rate in Texas, we would be booming with growth. And I'm not saying that's what we need to do, but it needs to be spread out and shared.
Is there any realistic plans in the works that you may have to pay off some of the debt we've accumulated? Or is it
Yes,
more
I
just
think-
towards holding?
No, we do, no, we need to pay it down, and that's what I'm saying, that with the planning and strategizing, having a strategic plan, we would allocate money every year, more than what we're doing now, to pay it down. Because I think what they're doing now is just holding it, they are buying and selling bonds to, they find a way to cut it down by selling them and refinancing them. That's what a lot of them are doing. And like I said, at the food bank, we had no debt, we paid as we went, and I know it's a much smaller operation, but we knew we were gonna grow. They're actually moving into a building on 242, and we had money in the bank because we knew we were gonna do that, because we'd already outgrown that facility when I was there. If we keep at the pace that we're going right now, I mean, we're at, what, close to over $600 million, close to $700 million in debt just for the county. And they're looking at doing another bond probably in November of next year. Yes.
I'd like to know your thoughts based on the fact that you've worked with Judge Sadler, and I remember talking with you a couple of years ago, maybe a year or two ago, but all of the cloud of ethical misbehavior that has hung over the Commissioner's Court for quite some time now, from issuing certificates when the bonds don't get voted through, to contracts going to companies that commissioners have a financial interest in, all of those type issues. How would you change that?
First of all, I would be very involved with what is going on, okay? I'm not a person that just sits back and let people come to me. I'm an involved manager, and that's what this is, it's a management position. As the bidding process would be open to everybody. Right now, we have a lot of contracts that are going to the very same people, and it needs to stop. We need to open it up to everybody. Everyone needs to have a fair shot at winning those bids. And, I mean, I've talked to people out in the public, and they say, I'm not the favored one anymore, so they're not getting any jobs. Well, nobody should be the favored one. It should be based on cost and the type of workmanship you provide, your expertise, and that's what we should do. I would also move the purchasing department back under the district judges, if it's not under the district judges anymore. And I think that happened maybe in 2006, so it came under the fall of the Commissioner's Court. Commissioners, they need to be a separate, just like the auditor is separate from the Commissioner's Court. So did I answer all of your questions?
Pretty much, but could you clarify, moving it under the district court, would you have the authority to do that right away?
I believe so. I believe so.
Okay. The other issue, the issuing certificates when the bond isn't voted through.
The people should have the opportunity to vote on when we're issuing debt. A CO, certificate of obligation, should only be used for emergencies, a true emergency. Maintenance of our roads, creating a new road, those are not emergencies. If we're planning, back to the strategic plans that we have and we're prioritizing, we know we're gonna have it. We prepare and plan for it, we put it in the budget. But a CO, on the other hand, if a hurricane comes in here and destroys something, or we have a massive fire and we have to do something, then that constitutes an emergency, but it has to be a true emergency.
So what if it's like, we get a ton of people moving in and we just can't keep up with roads and that kind of stuff? Is that considered an emergency too? Where it's like
It is by the
middle of-
current court, but but that's what's going on
Is
now.
it an emergency to you?
No.
Okay.
No. Because first of all these people are coming, we know they're coming, we need to be planning and preparing. I mean, they've let it become an emergency, it's not. It is not an emergency.
There's been discussions about the way the budget is divided, I think it's quartered out.
Yes, sir.
And there was some discussion about a new formula. Could you explain that?
Well, I've heard some talk about maybe they do it however many miles of road you have in yours, is that what you're talking about? I've heard
I'm
something about that.
not sure, I just heard that, excuse me, under the present guideline, each precinct gets 25%
They do,
of the budget.
yes, sir.
And somebody said that that's not really fair, that some precincts need more and others need less.
Well,
And I was just interested in the formula.
I don't know the answer to that, but I've heard that they would like it appropriated by the miles of road. What I would like to see happen and what I would push to happen, and I think with the right people in this court, it will happen. There is no accountability on the roads. When the money goes into the road and bridge fund, and once that commissioner gets his hands, it's in his budget, then he can do what he wants with that money. That's his money. There is no accountability. So you might as well throw your budget out the window. What I would like to see happen is that we bring that money in, and through strategic planning, we plan and prioritize and allocate that money to the roads that are needed and where it needs to go. It may need to all go in one area. A third of the money comes in from the Woodlands to South County. We can't put all the money over there when something's falling totally to pieces over in North, South, or East County. So we need to plan and prioritize and allocate that money to the need, the true need. And it may all be in South County because that's where all the growth is. But unless you're planning and prioritizing, you don't know. And I would involve citizens in helping make those decisions, because we shouldn't just depend on the developers and the engineers to tell us what needs to be done. We all in this room most likely drive different roads, and unless I'm driving the roads you're driving on, I don't necessarily know that you need help. So I would involve everybody.
So you've been critical of your opponents. I remember in one meeting you held up paper and said, I know, this proves that my opponents are involved in the Joe Curley scandal. That's what I
I
understood.
almost I didn't quite say it that way.
Okay.
And I almost brought that paper in here, just in case, but what I said is, I have a piece of paper, proof, that they were knowledgeable of what was going on. It's dated, I think, in October of 2006. It came from the auditor at the time, and it informed them it was like a summary of what was going on with the Joe Corley Detention Center. And I'll be glad to show it to y'all. But they were told about the tax consequences and what they needed to do. They were told about, the cost of the building, that there's been some talk about it going up, but it's holding steady at this price right now. And
So you're saying you really think your opponents knew all the nasty stuff that was going on and
I don't know. I think they knew what happened after that and what they talked about and what they did. I have no idea. I was not involved, and I don't know. Only they know. But I do know that they were informed by that one piece of paper. Now, whether they got another piece of paper on that or not, I have no idea.
Well, but you're trying to make it sound like they,
I believe that
They're
they
not
knew. I
fit.
believe that they were informed.
and I kind of analyzed that whole thing, and I really don't think they were.
Okay.
But-
But now, I'm not talking about the money that somebody took a loan on or anything on that. That's a totally different separate issue. I'm not talking about that.
Okay.
So I'm just talking about, GEO had an option to buy the land, and the county bought the option from GEO to buy the land to put the jail on.
Well, I admit there are things that shouldn't have happened.
So they knew about those things. Now, what happened, and I'm still saying, what happened after that, I don't know what they knew or didn't know, but they were informed in the beginning in 2006. what questions they asked, what discussions were had. I have no idea.
Okay.
Where do you stand on gambling?
I don't believe in gambling, period. And I've raised my boys not to do that. They're not necessarily always following my advice. So,
How long have you been in the area?
I have been here since, about 85, 86, somewhere around there.
I'm just curious to ask that first question I asked you about gambling. You don't believe in gambling. Do you believe that other people should have the right to gamble in our county?
Not in our county.
But outside of it, you're okay with it, or inside?
I'm not a proponent of gambling. I would vote against it.
So this, document that was signed by the county commissioners in 2009 and sent to the Texas legislature, it was a pro-gambling, there was even a title, the Texas Gold Coast, along the Texas coastline and 2 miles inland. You wouldn't be.
I am not a proponent of gambling.
Okay, we're just trying to clarify.
I
Because
understand.
there are all kinds of exceptions. Some people will say, oh, well, we don't want it here in the county, we don't want it on Lake Conroe. But it's okay on the coastline,
Well,
you know, they're our neighbors.
I understand. I understand. And I know that brings in a lot of money to, these states, but it also
But
brings in other things
cost.
too. So I'm not a proponent of gambling.
There's a quick follow-up on the previous question. If you think you could pay down the debt, realistically, how much do you think could be allocated for that on a yearly basis?
I do not know. I honestly don't. I'd have to look into that.
You mentioned holding the individual commissioners accountable for the monies that were given to them for road construction, so on and so forth. How would you propose to do that? I know, we live in precinct 4, the poor side of this county. And I can tell you what happens is that every election that rolls around, the people who yell loudest, we get our roads redone. I don't know how that could be possible if things were being handled the way they should be, but how would you hold them accountable?
First of all, we would make it where, if they don't do what I think is right, if it's not right, or I think there's a question about it, I'm gonna let you know, okay? They have a vote, and if they put 3 votes together, they get it. Right now, if they decide to fix a road, they just fix it. The rest of the court doesn't even know they're fixing it, okay? So I would like to bring that into the court and actually bring all that money into one area, so that when people are using it, we know they're using it and for what purpose. And it'll be a legitimate use of the money. And it will not be used for personnel issues, or you need a car, well, I've got some money, here you go.
Oh, so you've heard about our side of the county, huh?
Yes, I've heard that yourself. So,
We have time for one last question?
You live on 105,
yes, sir.
there's lots of white crosses along that road. What would you propose to do to finally get money to build it out to a 4-lane?
I would stand up and fight for 105 to be widened. And one of the things that I have found out, we all suspect as citizens that people go and fight for, they get this road because somebody wants it over here. And I talked to somebody from TxDOT, and I've asked, why isn't 105 done? I mean, it's been on the books for years, because, your commissioners, your people on the, they're fighting for a road over here in this area. It's more important to them than this road. And I will fight. 105 is one of the deadliest roads we have in the state, or in our county. And I know Rayford Sawdust needs help. I mean, we have a lot of problems. Like I said, we're behind. And I will fight TxDOT to do something on 105. And the other thing that, if we're doing our strategic plans, we will be prepared when money comes available to go and ask for it. And if we have money in reserve because we know we're gonna need it, we don't have money to leverage with TxDOT to get this money in. I mean, we have to do our part also. We can't just wait for them to come to us, we have to be ready.
Doris, you got 3 minutes to close.
To close, well, trying to think what I can say. We need to be prepared for today and for the future, and I believe we can do that through strategic planning and allocating our money to the core responsibilities of the county. We have a lot of empty buildings, we do a lot of moving around of people, and if we had a plan, we wouldn't be wasting our money. I will bring transparency to the county. Right now, we're putting in an agenda quick type system for our agenda items to go through. Once we get it built in and we've used it for several months, if you come up to an office and you say you want to know something about a certain, like, I'm gonna just pick on water, even though that wouldn't be one, we could put water in, and all these agendas would come up that pertains to what you're looking at. It'd make it much quicker. Because right now, if you try to find something on our system, you can't find it. Also, I would bring in video where you would be able to watch the court during the evenings or daytime. We'd have video streaming. So I would make sure that it was accessible and transparent. Our budget, I would make sure that that it is easily followed and read. And that's not only for you, it's for the internal aspect of it. They've got it so convoluted, it's very, very difficult to read. So transparency, being ethical, putting in an ethics review committee, being very fiducially responsible with your taxpayer money, and allocating, like I said, where it needs to go. We can continue doing the same thing. We can, ask for your vote and support. We can, if you want the same thing, higher debt, and higher taxes, then go with one of my two opponents. If you want somebody that's gonna go in there and work for you and be there and get involved and put public safety and infrastructure first, and giving everybody a fair shot at bidding for these things, then I ask for your vote. And so, I'm Doris.
Thank you, Evan.